One of our members applied to 67 different product manager openings at Tesla. He got rejected 66 times and he got an interview at the 67th application.
People somehow have that thought, hey, if I apply for bigger companies and if I fail, I can't apply for that company for the next 6 months to a year. So maybe I won't apply for the big companies. I'll apply for the smaller companies first. What do you think
This
about
market is tough. It is brutal and it is a butcher shop. Tech layoffs started in April 2022 and it hasn't stopped, and it's currently, at the time of this recording, December 2023.
Sometimes people don't know what good is, right? They might say maybe I'm applying 30 jobs every week and they think that is good, but that's not good in this market, right? That's pretty evident based on the people you're talking to and your metrics and all of that stuff.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Everything Product. In this podcast, we talk about different product management concepts and latest technology insights. We're very excited for the episode today. We have the co-founder of Product Gym, Richard Chen, in our podcast. So Richard, thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you for having me.
Before we go into a lot of the details, right, in order for our viewers to understand you and what you do as part of the Product Gym, would you mind giving a quick introduction about Product Gym? What does it do for the community, and introduction about yourself as well?
Yeah, so Product Gym, we're a membership organization based here in New York, and we help basically the following demographics. The first thing is we help people actually make a transition into product management. That has been our core mission since the inception of the company back in 2017. We also have courses here to help product managers, and I would say any professional that's interested in skilling up with AI automation. We have that class. We've also helped people that are looking to transition into their first SDET or QA engineering role. And we also provide other career coaching services for experienced PMs that unfortunately has been recently impacted by the tech layoffs. So essentially speaking, we those are the areas that we largely cover. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for providing that quick intro, Rich. Maybe I'll start with a very quick question, right? We keep talking to a lot of product managers. Several of them might be aspiring product managers who are transitioning from different roles, or there are several product managers who have been with the product world for some time. They're either struggling to grow in their career, etc. And in the last year or so, what we have also observed is there are a lot of changing trends, right? AI has been one of the biggest things that's shaping up the industry now. And product managers need to upskill themselves to learn several of these things. And there is huge layoffs in the industry that's impacting a lot of those people as well. Maybe I would love to get your thoughts on what are some of the advices that you would give for some of these aspiring product managers to get to those roles or improve their roles in 2024.
I think first things first is actually, so we're talking about specifically people that want to transition into product management for the first time.
Let's start there.
Got it. For people that are looking to transition into product management for the first time, I highly recommend that in this market, they start with developing their skills and actually creating client-facing or customer-facing portfolio that's actually reflective of some of the skills that companies are looking for. So in our AI automation program, we focused on, there are many skills, but I would say 3 core skills that are very important for an aspiring product manager. First things first is actually understanding SQL and knowing how to use SQL with AI, because anything right now with AI is automatically going to make you look like a much more attractive candidate, given how new AI is in the space. It's been around for a while, but like now it's definitely more adopted. It really levels the playing field for somebody that has, like we teach a program here where we show people how to use Retool to create dashboards and charts. If you have a profile showing that you can do it, even though you're transitioning to product management for the first time, you immediately close up the gap between you and maybe somebody that's been a product manager for 3 years or 4 years that also has a SQL background. The second thing that I would really advise aspiring product managers to do is actually learn a little bit about building a chatbot. And the reason for that is you want to ship something that's client facing. Too many times, aspiring product managers, they either don't have a side project or they don't have a completed portfolio. It's a link to a website that's just a list of photos.
Yeah.
Although I it's kind of like a chef presenting you with half a pizza, right? And even the half of the pizza that exists on the table, it's like you feel like some of the toppings are missing. So what are we really supposed to do with that if somebody's like on the recruiting side or on the hiring side? If you can present an AI powered chatbot that you've even built for, let's just say, a dog grooming business or a chiropractor, a family or a friend that owns some type of small business, and they say, you like, that's at least showing me as somebody on the hiring team, you ship something that was client facing. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like we've had members before where um, it's essentially a scheduling bot for a chiropractor, and that chiropractor is their brother-in-law. That actually shows me that, okay, this is small scale, but I can, at the very least, I can pick it up, I can play with it, I can see how functional it is. I saw that you got to interview an end user that is not tech focused. You built something, you shipped it, and this business is using it on a day-to-day basis. That to me speaks more volumes that, like, okay, this person actually took an idea and went to market with it. It doesn't have to be something extremely, extremely sophisticated like a full blown app, because clearly they don't have those engineering resources, right? And then another thing is actually having like some idea of what a technical product requirements or product requirements doc is. Understanding you don't have to have an engineering background to understand that a big part of your job as a product manager is actually mapping out the project scope. How long is this going to take? How much is this going to cost? It is simple economics here. They're not going to have 3 or 4 engineers building something for no reason. So I'm not saying you need to have like all 3 of those skills to be loaded. They all have like their own place, but when a hiring member is looking at you as a first time product manager, what we want to do here is minimize the most risk in choosing you as a hire versus all of the senior product management talent that's being laid off right now. So the more that you can show your ability to learn new skills and deploy new skills, that's more valuable to me. That, okay, somebody's been a product manager for the last 5 years, but in the last 13 months, what kind of new skills have they developed, right? It's more presenting yourself as like a value add into the marketplace. So long-winded answer, if you have the skills, especially in the current market right now, I would say during the boom market, like 2021, you can kind of like lie your way in, or you can
Yeah.
kind of get very creative what you're talking about. But as we've learned with the recent tech layoffs, that was the time when companies were aggressively over hiring, and a lot of people had a very easy shot. But now, with the amount of talent that's out in the market, aspiring product managers actually have to shift a little bit too, and be a little bit more skills focused, because anybody that's looking to hire an aspiring PM, first time PM right now, they're definitely looking for somebody to hit the ground running on day one. Going into, like, I would say 2021, it's probably very, sometimes it's almost adorable to say, I'm looking for a mentor. And there are some product manager, heads of product, director of product. They say, like, I was an investment banker once and I transitioned into product management. And like, I would love to mentor, this person here would add a lot of value. Today's market, ain't nobody trying to be your mentor. Ain't nobody has the time to be your mentor. Ain't nobody has the bandwidth or the
Yeah.
emotional stamina to be your mentor. So, starting with the skills is, I would say, the most obvious first step for
Yeah.
me. Long-winded answer, but
And I think that also hits an important point, right? We also talk a lot about this in our podcast, right? Like product management, you don't learn it through, seeing online. You actually learn it while doing the job, and that's where creating these side products and products will, help you understand and get better at your skills, and also have something to show the recruiters, right?
yeah, I think absolutely, and I think even before even getting the skills, maybe like setting a date saying like I'm going to be a product manager by March 28th. What I see a big challenge with like aspiring PMs is that they're like, I'm going to be a product manager. Do it. Nobody's stopping you, right? I mean, it's like you treat your job hunt like it's a roadmap. There's a date that you have to go to market and you have to start interviewing. Like at some point you have to stop working on your side project at some point and you have to start applying and interviewing. But there, like in product management, there has to be a conclusion. Like a show has to have like a last season. There has to be an ending. So like say March 28th, you want to be a product manager and make the first step. I think too many aspiring PMs they fall under like three big traps, in my opinion. Number one is procrastination. Number two is perfectionism, and then number three is analysis paralysis. So 3 years go by, and they're still going to PM meetups out here in New York and San Francisco, and they say, "Yeah, I think this year I'm finally going to be a PM." Like, you've been coming around here since 2018, since before the pandemic.
That is 100% true. So I have a few friends actually who have reached out to me and then said, "Hey, I would love to transition into product management. I know you talk to a lot of people and then coach them and guide them in the interview process and stuff. What do I need to do to get started?" I'll talk to them. I'll give them some books. I'll give them some websites. Go watch these videos, etc. Couple of months will go by, and then they'll come back and say, "Hey, I didn't get a chance to start to it, but when do you think I can start applying for the roles?"
Yeah.
I've always been like, to just start today, put a timeline for yourself, and then go from there. Maybe, Rich, let me ask one quick question on that, right? Um, when do you think people should start applying? Right, your question is absolutely correct. A lot of people think that, okay, I'll finish this project and then I'll start applying. What do you think should be the right time for that?
Set a deadline for when. Let's work backwards, as we always talk about in product management, right? How long do you want to go on this journey? When I everything has to have like an end date. For me, when I went from recruiter to career coach, I set a date I was going to quit recruiting. For me, like when I decided that there were going to be different milestones for the business, like I set a date, and once that date's on the calendar, like you really got to train for it, like it's the Olympics or it's fight night. Like, you know, come like it's like the World Cup, like every 4 years, like ready or not, Once they pop out, we're going. Like we are committed, right? So I think first things first is set a date. Like when do you want this job? And it's got to be something reasonable. There's, let's say, the fastest transition I've ever seen, which was unreal, was like 13 days. He came, like this was outlier situation, right? This is like Malcolm Gladwell class outlier. He applied to a very specific job at a company where he had a lot of industry experience. It was his second interview and they hired him. That doesn't happen every single day, but like actually set a date. I think within a quarter, there's a lot that you can do. So within 90 days, I think like it's very doable. At most, it's 2 quarters. Clearly, people are taking more than a year sometimes to do this. Like, I'm going to do this 2 quarters, and it's going to happen, right? And I think it's very reasonable. Having said that, though, now you got to start asking yourself, like, okay, how many interviews do I have to do? And I think this is the part where you have to be very data driven. So we know in product management that in order to go ahead and convert, let's work down the funnel. We want a job offer at a company. And I also tell my members, let's be intentional. You want the highest paying product manager job with the coolest possible company in the shortest amount of time. Preferably someplace you can brag to your friends about. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's get it out there on a piece of paper, right? That's what we want. There's no need to lie about it, right? It's like you go to see like a Netflix show like Indian Matchmakers, like, I'm looking for somebody nice. It's like, come on, let's be real here. Let's be real here, right? You've been telling yourself that for years. It's clearly not true, you know. So if we take a look at that, okay, so let's break it down from the very top to the very bottom. So we know that there's 4 standard rounds to a product manager interview because they have to interview with people on the technical panel and in the business side panel. Sometimes they could combine it, but usually they split it up, especially now with Zooms. And then we know round 2 is with like the director, VP, head of product. We know round 1 is actually going to go out there and be with like recruiter, right? So in today's market, I think everybody should be gunning for at least 3 offers because so many companies are backing out on their offers. So let's just say I want a really cool job. So let's gun for 3 to 5 offers. So let's just say some metrics here: 5 to 8 round 4s, 12 to 15 round 3s, 25 round 2s, 40 round 1s. So if I was looking at it mathematically from that standpoint, 40 round 1s, well, we know that with our data that we have access to, the average company response time right now is about 4 to 7 weeks, right? So let's assume that it's going to be longer because Spotify just laid off a batch of people this week. In fact, they just dropped their CFO, I think, today, but he's walking away with $9.2 million liquidated from stock. So I can't exactly say I feel bad for the guy. And he still has a job until the end of March until he finds his successor. So Christmas, I think, will still feel like Christmas for him, right? Okay, so from the very top to like the very bottom. Okay. So if that's the case, average is like, I'd say 7 to 10% conversion rate. So I would go out there and gun for big numbers and say like, okay, 1,500 applications is going to get the job done, right? I know that's like an insane number, but I'm just saying like I've seen a lot of people apply to 600 applications already. They still haven't gotten their job and they're experienced PMs. I've seen also some of my first time PMs, they applied to like 750 to like 800 applications, right? So now you have to go out there and actually time it. Like, let's look at this from a product roadmap perspective. Okay, so I got to do 30 applications a day, 10 for breakfast, 10 for lunch, 10 for dinner, 5 days a week. That's 150. I'm going to double up on the weekends. Okay, and then you wait for your eggs to hatch 4 to 7 weeks later. I mean, now I think if we're setting a 90-day timeline, all of a sudden now it's like, bro, you don't got 3 months to work on this chatbot. Like, roll it out next week.
Yeah.
You wanted to work in tech. I mean, Steve Jobs would say, I mean, it's in his biography all the time. Like, his engineers would be like, no, it's going to take us another month. Like, listen, anything you can do in a month, you can do in 3 days. Like, no. But they still got to roll it out. So I think like if people are looking at it from that perspective of like, this is how I know if somebody's going to transition into a product manager position or not, is like the type of questions and the attitude that they come in at when they talk to us. It's like, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? Like, if they say like, okay, I need to do 30 applications a day. How do I do 30 applications a day? Okay. Somebody that's like, 30 applications? Like, I thought this was your dream. I thought like this was the love of your life. I wouldn't let clicking the send button on Indeed 30 times a day stop me from my dreams. Right? So I think if they have that in order, 3 weeks for the side project, and then by week 4, you got to go to market. Okay, so you package up your product along with your resume, LinkedIn, and cover letter. 3 weeks, week 4, we go to market. Come hell or high water, we are storming the beaches on Normandy. Come week 4, okay. By week 6, and then we wait for maybe 3 or 4 weeks out for all the eggs to hatch. It's like, I honestly think like 90 days to maybe 2 quarters is enough, but early and often, fast, if you really want it. If not, take the whole year.
That's I love your analogies as well, Rich. You're like, go to market as soon as possible so that you clearly know where your profile stands and then start applying. Want to add a question there, right? There are different ways you can apply for roles nowadays. And what we have personally seen is going to company portals doesn't make sense. You're just sitting in a pool of applications. Indeed, or any of these websites might work to a certain extent. LinkedIn is working better nowadays, and referrals is the best thing to go for. What are your thoughts on like how people can apply?
First things first, like the movie, everything, everywhere, all at once. Like, here's the thing, right? I'm very intentional about training our members here to think of their job hunt like a business. It is. You're engaged in a that employment arranged agreement is a business contract. They are technically speaking just really your service client for the next 18 months before you move on to your next project. They don't owe anything to you. You don't owe anything to them. So the truth of the matter is the biggest misconception in applying and generating interviews is like, if you take a look at generating interviews as a form of demand generation for a business, product managers are spending so much time thinking about what's the best way that they're not doing anything in the process. Indeed, LinkedIn, all that stuff works. That's just like going to a business or a content creator like yourselves and saying, what's the best avenue to drive traffic to my YouTube channel? Is it Instagram? Is it LinkedIn? Is it email? Is it too much to ask for all three and more?
Most
You're
of the
not
time,
leveraging.
it's all three, right?
It has to be all
Yeah,
three, and
yeah,
it has
yeah.
to be all three and more. TikTok,
More.
X,
Yeah.
everything, right? Here's the thing. People are using Indeed ineffectively. People are using LinkedIn ineffectively. People are networking ineffectively. People are applying ineffectively. People are actually not following up with companies. Okay. People are not utilizing more job boards. So the basis of their problem of not getting more interviews is actually not generating enough traffic. So if we take a look at that problem from that standpoint, it should be a schedule, right? Okay, every morning I'm going to hit 30 positions on LinkedIn. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Indeed. And then once a week minimum, I'm going to go to one networking session. I'm going to send 5 LinkedIn messages, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to utilize a variety. And I'll give you guys some more tips. I recently made a post about this new job board called hiring.cafe. I made a list of 7. I literally dropped like 13 YouTube videos one weekend called 17 tips on how to go ahead and generate more product manager interviews. That was a 30-minute video. And then I made a 10-minute video on each individual tip.
Okay.
And then I made another video on this is your schedule. This is what you should be doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And people that are doing it, they've been DMing me both inside and outside my community. They're like, I'm getting 10 to 15 interviews a week. And it's a combination of a lot of things. But when I take a look at like what most product managers are doing, and I know this is going to already rub some people the wrong way because of the DMs that I get sometimes, they're like, but what's the best way? What happens if the best way for somebody else isn't the best way for you? I've had people, they've crushed it on LinkedIn Easy Apply. I have some people, they can't even get somebody to reject them on LinkedIn Easy Apply. So, like I have a lot of friends that are in the course creator game. To tell you the truth, I network with a lot of course creators during COVID. We were exchanging tips on how to drive traffic and like different things that we were doing and stuff. Some people crush it on Instagram. Some people, they told me like, yo, Rich, like, how are you crushing it on LinkedIn? And I was like, but your customer's not on LinkedIn. I know a guy that's crushing it on Reddit.
Yeah.
So what works for you may not work for somebody else. What works for somebody else does not necessarily work for you. Our program works for most people because we have more than 3,000 successful outcomes in the past 7 years. Plus, yes, I am explicitly bragging about ourselves. We were voted 3rd best online education company in 2021 by USA Today. So, and the reason for that is like, okay, do you honestly think if you're working for Elon Musk and they say, we're going to market with this version of Tesla and we're getting ready to launch in Europe. Do you honestly think they're going to say, this is our launch plan? What do you think Elon's going to say? That doesn't work. What's plan B? That doesn't work. What's plan C? I mean, that guy's crazy. I hate him or love him. He expects things to go wrong, man. I think he kind of enjoys it, right? So I'm like, yes, I've met plenty of people that network their way to a product manager job, but I've met even more people where it doesn't work for them. The people that I know that are the most successful, like our members, they deploy 12, 15, 20 different ways to get interviews. And the most important thing is they do it consistently for 45 to 90 days. That's also
Keep
the other thing.
applying it. Yeah.
The inconsistency of it. They see one LinkedIn message, you should be networking. Oh, I'm in network. I do it for 3
That's
days.
right.
Nobody got back to me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't work for me. And then they take 8 days off. Did you work on your side project? No, I couldn't. I had to just watch Netflix nonstop for 8 days. And then it's like, oh, like they see another guy's like, the one thing you're doing wrong on Indeed that's going to get you more interviews. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Indeed. Oh, yo. Like I had a guy tell one of our members, like, bro, market's bad. I applied to 13 LinkedIn easy apply jobs on Monday. And it's Thursday, bro. And nobody got back to me. The market is just bad. It's just bad. And I'm like, all right, let me introduce you to one of my members. She's on an H-1B. She just got a layoff. And she has a short window to either get a job or go home. She is wrapping up her life here while she is trying to stay positive, but also preparing for the worst. She's doing 200-300 apps a day, right? Okay. And she's leveraging more than a few different like channels to get interviews. Yeah, she was averaging about like I had a situation like that. I had another lady, she was going to be homeless like in 6 weeks if she didn't get a job. She was averaging, and she was also in a visa situation, she was averaging 8 interviews a day. And most of those interviews started with this. What is your current work authorization status? Oh, yeah, we'll call you back.
That's right.
So to adequately answer your question, first things first is I'm going to be very explicit to people that are either transitioning into product management right now or people that are looking to get a product manager job. This market is tough. It is brutal, and it is a butcher shop. Tech layoffs started in April 2022, and it hasn't stopped, and it's currently, at the time of this recording, December 2023. This has been going on for 7 quarters. I don't know how much more data people need to gather before they realize maybe they need to pop on Harry Styles as it was, but this ain't 2021. You're going to have to gun at a higher volume, find more ways to contact hiring managers, and you have to be more diligent and consistent and I think more relentless to even get half as many interviews if you stand a chance. And the people that are not doing it, aspiring definitely doesn't have a chance if they're not doing this. But even people that just gotten laid off, they're only prolonging the amount of time that they're staying unemployed.
Yeah.
So,
And do you see, right, like I think even after the pandemic, a lot of things changed, right? So previously there were like maybe on average 40-50 applications per job. Now I see 200-300, sometimes even in the 500 range, where people are applying so much. And do you think like the solution for that would be volume and consistency?
Volume and consistency solves every single problem on earth. If you talk to any athlete, I mean, like the sniper approach just doesn't work. I mean, let's talk about data. If there's a 7 to 10% conversion rate per 100 applications, right? I was like, if you're an e-commerce product manager and you send out 10 apps to e-commerce product manager roles, I think we can reasonably expect one person to get back to us. I don't think like anybody ever had like a 20-25%. Even Google and Apple product managers do not have a 50% conversion rate, because they get buried underneath the role. Sometimes the posting's expired. There's all kinds of like external factors, which at the very root of it is actually where a lot of thinking is wrong. It's like, I'm qualified for this job, so where's the job offer? Right? What happens if that post is an expired posting? Why didn't they take it off? Because the recruiter doesn't care. Why doesn't the recruiter care? Because they're not being paid enough to care. So like, yeah, people get angry when I say that. I was like, the average recruiter in tech, unless you're working for an agency, which is the background I came in from, makes $85K a year. Do you honestly think they're going to get fired because they didn't take off 5 expired postings on LinkedIn and Indeed? Their boss can care less.
That is true. I have another.
I know, right? It's messed up. But yeah, but like the volume approach, there's about a 66% ghost or cancellation rate from round 1 to round 2. So if you do about on the dot, that's like, if you did 10 round 1s, you can expect that at least 6 of those round 1s, if you're the most stellar candidate ever, 6 out of 10 of those round 1s will either ghost you for no reason or hiring freeze in today's market. So
that is true.
I know a lot of data. I've been trying to jot down some of the information that you are putting together, but I see anybody who's actually trying to or aspiring to become a product manager in this market, right? Maybe the best way would be to set a goal, but start with maybe a product which you build in 3 weeks and then get started applying. And you're saying that could start with somewhere between 30 to 40 applications every day, and people keep going on, and the response rate for a company to get back is 6 to 7 weeks, and then from there onwards you go on to say maybe try to get 40 first rounds, 20 second, 30, and then maybe the final rounds could be 10 to 15, out of which you'll get 3 to 4 offers, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
even at like, because here's the other thing too, even at the final round, and I'm setting the metrics here at 5 to 8 round 4s, the final rounds, 50% of those companies ghost you either through the cancellation or hiring freeze in this market. So how do you fight against hiring freeze? Because how many times have we heard, you guys are in the Bay Area, I'm out here in New York, how many times have you heard from one of your friends when they say, oh yeah, Jenny says like she's safe because like her boss told her, and then you find out, oh shit, what happened? It's like, she got laid off with her boss.
Yeah, and sometimes you find out it's even the boss doesn't know, right? So, and it's not in their hands, right?
No. I mean, the CFO of Spotify just got dropped. I'm pretty sure when he was carving out that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was hoping his name was also not on it. But even at the C-suite level, like I'm not like saying this to add hope. I want people to be like, they need to be fully prepared to enter into this situation like with their eyes wide open of like, there is, product manager has a lot of prestige, and if we're being honest, a lot of aspiring PMs out there are doing it for the flex, and that is fun. We love y'all. Like, that's why we call ourselves Product Gym and not Tech Gym. You guys have been wonderful to us for 7 years. But I also don't sugarcoat that this is a hard job. It is very demanding. And just like how CSI, I don't think is an accurate representation of what crime scene investigation actually is. It's not a bunch of good-looking people driving fancy cars around Miami all day. Like, there is a side of product management that is unattractive and I would say like that people don't talk about, but is very much part of your job. And there's some weeks where I know PMs that don't want to be PMs too. But the process of getting a product manager job is also, it's difficult. Like, experienced PMs don't even enjoy it. This is why they freak out every time they get laid off, because they know exactly what it's going to take for them to get their next role. It's going to take a lot. it's almost going to take them everything. So like, if this isn't something that you want to do, don't do it. If this is something that you want to do, well, DM me. We'll talk about it. But I like on the calls, we tell people exactly how hard this is. We don't sugarcoat it. That's why the
Yeah.
whole name behind Jim.
Yeah, and like, what are the trends now? Like, are there openings that are already there, or they're like nothing out there? Can you find a job openings, companies opening up positions for product
Well,
management?
let's go ahead and let's talk about what are the most common avenues that people are utilizing right now,
Sure.
versus like most people are utilizing LinkedIn and Indeed, and they're seeing the same jobs over and over and over again, right? So the first thing that they can go ahead and do to go ahead and get more jobs and more active openings is actually the simplest thing is actually downloading those apps, popping in your email for the email news alert, and actually uploading your resume onto the platform. You know, everybody uses Indeed. They have the largest market share for job boards, but nobody downloads their app on their phone. And no, they're not paying me to say this, right? If you take a look at a lot of the job postings, they're being posted between 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., depending on what side of the country that you're living in. Like, why? Because recruiters, they're on the phone all day talking candidates. They're posting their jobs at night because they're like, oh shit, it's Thursday, I gotta post up that job. So this is why it's so vague. Sometimes they're really just doing it on their iPhone, right? They're like, dang, uploaded, we Gucci. But if they're on like I had somebody secure an interview just like this. They saw a notification and it was 10:17 at night, and they had their resume already uploaded on Indeed. Hit the send button right there. Immediately within 3 minutes, got a call back and said like, okay, one dinner, be first, right? That is something that it's like, one of the things that like one of my mentors had us read up on was like the British cycling team at one point was so bad that companies paid them to not use their equipment or ride their bikes. And they brought on a new head coach and he said, we're only focusing on doing things 1% better. And if we can get 1% better, and like what happened was in a very short amount of time, within 5 years, they were number one for 4 out of 5 years. And it just went from everything from like, we found a better glove, we found a better helmet. Okay, find better equipment, better way to tie our shoes, right? So these are all things that are within their control. Another thing that's like well within their control is take all the openings right now, go to the company career page, and like right now, I can tell you, I know my facts. American Express, they have right now about 17 openings that are posted up on LinkedIn. I don't know for Indeed, but if you go to the American Express website and you look up product manager, they have 72 product manager openings right now. You can fact check me if I'm wrong. Okay. Not all of the product manager openings on a company career page make it to the actual job board. Right?
Got it.
So that's another way for you and those roles are less blown up because most people are not taking the step. Right. Another thing that you can go ahead and do, these are easy things, is increasing the number of like job boards that you're applying to. I've made a list of job boards. Networking also with recruiting agencies. I made a post about that recently, but also targeting companies directly that just got funding. Companies that just got funding, they do not have a recruiter. Recruiter's usually the last person that's got hired. Funding right now is dried up, but there's still companies getting cash. If you can get money out of VC in this market, you're doing something right. Those are the companies that you actually want to target. Those are the companies that you actually want to apply to, right? Go ahead and set up a news alert for TechCrunch, Fast Company, a Google News alert, right? All of the VCs, every single time they do a fundraise or they go out there and they fund a company, Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz. You can make a list of all those VCs. They literally post it up on their Instagram channel and they say, we are proud to go out there and partner up with Casper. Y Combinator, right? We are proud to go out there and announce we just funded this, right? That's all things 100% within the candidate's control. But when I tell people that, but that's a lot of work, then don't be a product manager because it doesn't get any easier once you get on the job. Yo, you think it's like cool, like if you're an Uber PM and they're like, you're on the next flight to the UK, conquering, like, it's mad stressful, man. No, I knew the team that went out there. You think what? They're just drinking at pubs all day and watching what, the Manchester United game? No, mad government regulations. It's like, you're working a lot of nights, a lot of weekends. Like, I was like, if you guys think like, no, I was like, no, once you get the job, that's when the fun really begins, That's when you're gonna look back at your job on like, damn, that was actually
That was easy.
way more chill. Because why? Now there's real money on the table. Now
That
there's
is true.
real deadlines. Now, like, your side project isn't an arbitrary date on a calendar you have hung up on your refrigerator. When you get a
That's true.
call from the investors, so what you guys doing out there? We paying for you guys to have a good time, or you guys got some results? Like, it's Friday before you know it. You got to get on that call at noontime, and you better have some good news if you want to make it to next Friday. Like, that's the part of like, nobody talks about that part of product management, right? The stress, So like, all of these different things. I'll say, you guys want to be a product manager? Yeah. If I quantifiably tell you that it took 1,500 applications to be a product manager, 1,500 applications means you can stop being a business analyst, you can stop being an investment banker, you can stop being a salesperson, and then you can go out there and upload and say, I'm finally glad to announce that I am now an official product manager of XYZ company. Get the 250 likes and comments, okay?
Mhm.
That was what was stopping you, then I would take and I'd break that thing entirely apart. Because that's what our team did here, was like, all right, LinkedIn and Indeed's not enough in this market. Let's go out there and tear this thing completely apart. That's also kind of like the last piece I'll leave with, is the accountability of people being able to do it on their own is so low. This is also why you call it
Yeah.
a gym. You give them all the information,
Mhm.
they still can't execute.
That is true. Like, as product managers, right, we can totally relate to that. Our work changes on a daily basis. Could be critical timelines. You're working overnight, you're working over weekends, depending on the releases, etc., etc. Actually, Rich, I want to ask you one more question, right? And this came to me like multiple times from multiple people.
Sure.
Whenever I'm applying for jobs, people somehow have that thought, hey, if I apply for bigger companies and if I fail, I can't apply for that company for the next 6 months to a year. So maybe I won't apply for the big companies. I'll apply for the smaller companies first. What do you think about that?
One of our members applied to 67 different product manager openings at Tesla. He got rejected 66 times, and he got an interview at the 67th application. And if I remember correctly, the one interview that he did end up getting was from, it was directly on the company career page, even though what led him there was actually the job board. Uh, yeah, like, here's the thing. Like, some people say like, oh, it makes you look desperate. No, it makes you look relentless. Like, I want to work at Tesla. I actually don't even care what I'm working on, but I want the T logo right next to my name. And I'm ready to take my first selfie with Eli. Like I think like that's also, you have to really look at like your why. I think people talk themselves, I don't know why they do it, they talk themselves out of not doing things. Like, when I talk to a lot of product managers and they say the market's bad, and I say, when was the last time you applied? They're like, 2 months ago. Like, listen, nothing changes if nothing changes. Like, nothing can happen from nothing. Like, you got to go out there and really put out the work. Like, you have to, like, all the big guys, like, they did. Like, I'm in my 7th year as an entrepreneur. I'm still working out here on a Friday with you guys right here that could be doing anything else too. So, like, to be honest, I see some people, they say like, oh, this company is looking for 4 years of experience. I only have 3. This company is looking for like, oh, I have to go into the office. And this company says like, oh, like, it'd be like, I have to have an MBA, right? Here's the thing. You're going to miss 100% of the shots that you just don't take. And that's what I tell my members. 90% of your competition is actively stopping themselves from competing against you. So even though there's 178,000 tech workers that got laid off, which is unfortunate, when I take a look at like what their activities are, it's not really intentional with their goals. If you want to be a product manager at Google, you should be applying to every product manager position at Google. You know, like one of my friends is a recruiter at Google. This one guy applied to every opening multiple times, created a spreadsheet. He was hell bent on Google. It wasn't just any big tech company. He this guy, honestly, I was like, I met him one time. I was like, bro, you gotta start a YouTube channel. You crush. You know? What are you doing holding this stuff to yourself, dude? I would milk this thing so hard if I were you. I would milk this thing. You know what? I would have been recording this whole journey from the beginning to the end to milk it. And I would have pitched Netflix at the end of it. You know, like, but he added onto a spreadsheet. It was scary. Every product manager at Google on one tab, every recruiter at Google on one tab. And I'm not just talking about Bay Area. I'm talking about the whole US.
Wow.
He connected with each and every one of them, put their birthday next to each and every name.
So that they
Oh yeah, it was literally like,
so it catches their eyes, right?
oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yo, happy birthday, Fanny. You know, what you doing this week, man? Like, yo, kid, happy birthday, man. Hope you have a cool this guy. Like, you know, it sounds crazy, but you got to be a little bit crazy because, like, Google, they don't want normal people there. They want out of the box thinkers, right? This guy went to every single meetup. This guy actually he would go to happy hours and just pretend like he ran into people there, but he came at them in so many different ways. Always had the resume ready to go and was like he knew every Google PM opening like the back of his hands, and the guy was like willing to pay people to go ahead and actually like have coffee chats. Like, I will go ahead and Venmo you $60 an hour. That's my starting rate to go ahead and actually talk to you because I really want to work at Google as a PM, and I would appreciate any tips or referral. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's what I'm talking about right now. That's freaking wartime product management.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Like,
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I tell so many people, like, here's the thing. Like, we used to host a meetup in New York every Tuesday. And there's a spot, we invited one of my friends in here. He's a PM at Spotify. Not anymore. Well, he already left before this week went down. But like, this was way back too, and he come in and I saw people sit in a room. I'd say a third of the people were members at Product Gym, and there was obviously a lot of people that were like fans of just Spotify. But there was honestly only one reason why you would show up to that event, and which was talking about the Spotify hiring process. And I saw our members, and I also saw people that were not PG members ask questions like, what does Spotify look for in a PM? What skills should I develop if I want to be a PM at Spotify? What this? What that? And it was just like, what do you look for? There was a girl that came late. She moved a lot of people aside, grabbed the chair, moved it to the front row, took out her briefcase, and just said this. So, hang on. She's actually raising her hand like she actually wanted to be called on, right? She said, I saw this opening on your website, and it says reported, because sometimes it has like product manager, comma, this, and product manager, comma, I think it was like growth or strategy at the time. She's like, there's only 3 other product managers I saw on LinkedIn with that actual official title. Does this position report to you? And he's like, yeah. This is my resume. I would like to interview for that role.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I saw that.
That is
I
crazy.
was so alive. And he was like, okay. She's like, when can we interview? And now. Yeah, and I was like, this is not stage people. I was like, I never met this person before. Anyway, she didn't get the job, but I definitely was a fan of the vigor, and I was like, I would like, you should be a member here. And so the craziest thing was like, she did that at every single event where I had friends at PMs that would like just come in and talk, and where I had friends that were recruiters, and I asked a lot of members like, so you know that person's like a friend of mine. Like, why didn't any of you guys say, Rich, I want to work at this company, I want to work at that company? And then like we actually had like 3 people that ended up getting a job at WeWork at the time when WeWork was hot. You know, I was like, this recruiter is actually a buddy of mine because I started off in recruiting, right? And they were just like,
Mhm.
I was scared of what? Like, what the guy says no. I mean, he already said no if he didn't say anything. So what's the difference? You know, and that's what I always tell people is that is your competition. They're waiting for the right time. They're waiting for the right moment. They're waiting. That girl, she could have told herself so many things. Because, you know, there's a presentation, then there's a Q&A. I'm already late. Probably can't get into this WeWork. They're probably done with Q&A. You know, like, there's all these people in front of me. I'm going to pull up a chair. You know, like, all these people. Should I ask right now? I have a room full of people looking at me. Here's my resume. She had a job description. It was freaking highlighted, noted it was ready to go. They did the freaking first round interview on the spot. And yeah, I was like, why'd you like, he's like, are you seriously considering giving her a shot? He's like, yeah, dude, that's exactly what we need at Spotify. Everybody's like mad lazy.
Yeah. No, as product managers, that's the biggest thing that we will look for, right? So someone who is very proactive, someone who is not waiting for someone to give a chance to you. You're talking to the customers, you're finding all the details. If I can actually see that in a person during the interview process, that's amazing. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I was like, if you're an aspiring product manager and you're going for an APM position, it's hilarious how many friends I have in the business where they're like, did we get this dashboard ready? He's like, oh, the data analyst said they were going to get it to us by Friday. It's Friday. They said that to us last Friday, right? It's like, yeah. They said us to us the Friday before that, right? Yeah. So what do you think is going to change next Friday? It's like, you know, honestly speaking, you get paid every other Friday, right? But it's like, hey, yo, Dan, yo, this is James. Yeah, you in the office right now? Okay, I was actually gonna go over there anyways, dude. Stay there. So what's the holdup? Like you're getting it done. You're moving it forward. You know, I see a lot of the product managers that are not doing very well in this market, right? And what's kind of led up to it is like the really rock star product managers, they just go ahead and they learn SQL and they're just like, I'm just gonna do this shit myself. Like, why am I that's just how I know how like the most successful directors and heads of product, they invest so much in their training and they're not waiting for like a company reimbursement check because they're just like, there isn't enough continuing education budget for the types of skills I want to learn every single like day.
Yep.
So I can be the best at what it is that I do. And I take a look at that and I was like, I see a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, like, let me get back to you. Like, let me see if it's going to get approved. And I was like, why would you only learn that budget's like usually like 3 Gs. Like, why would you want to learn like one skill like a year, right? Like that like, you know, I heard somewhere where like LeBron James invests $1 million a year into his body because he's like, this is what makes money is my body. Like, if you're a product manager, your income is a reflection of your skills. Like, oh, you know SQL, like, you know AI. Okay, you know road mapping, you know pricing, you know email marketing. Like, you have, like, you can wireframe, you can mock up. You're not waiting for your UX designer, right? You can do UX research. You can do some of the product marketing, go-to-market side. The product managers that are like, when people are like, oh, product manager salaries have gone down. I was like, no, your skills are just bad. Because the people that like that come into the field that loaded, they are the ones making 250, 300K a year. Yeah. So long-winded
Yeah.
answer again, but like, yeah, I think transitioning into product management is the easiest thing ever because most of your competition, they're either not going to do it or they're just going to be lazy about doing it.
Yeah. No, I think you covered a lot in detail, right? What could be the action plan? And sometimes people don't know what good is, right? They might say maybe I'm applying 30 jobs every week and they think that is good, but that's not good in this market, right? That's pretty evident based on the people you're talking to and your metrics and all of that stuff. Great insights. And also,
Yep.
right, like you have covered details about some blog posts and all which you have written before. Maybe if you can give that, we can also put it in the description below so that people can
Descriptions,
go there and
yes.
access some of that information.
100%. So
Yeah.
like DM me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to chat there. That's like the platform that I'm the most active at. And then like, I would say my last takeaway is for the people that are serious about transitioning to product management is to go ahead. You can either choose a program or if you want to get it done right, choose our program. But like seriously, like if you no seriously, because like most people, the way that I tell people is this: all the information that you want to look for you to look like any superhero you want already exists on the internet for free. Like if you say I want to look like Michael B. Jordan from Creed versus you know Captain America, right? Like the free blogs that are out there that tell you what workouts they do with a link to a YouTube video telling you when to breathe, inhale and exhale to everything they ate is in either a PDF or an app, and it's on a schedule. I've even saw one where it automatically integrates with your Google Calendar. So the truth is, if you were accountable enough to get it done on your own, you would have gotten it done. So
Already.
if you're
Yeah.
serious
That's true.
about it, if this is something that you actually really want to do, like be a part of a program, or you want to get it done right, be a part of our program.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll also add all of that into the description. But yeah, we'll maybe wrap up with a quick trivia. We normally
Shoot.
ask set questions to guests here. So if you were to what are your favorite books or the books you recommend normally?
Wow, Hard Thing About Hard Things is probably my favorite. Oh, what? Have you read it?
Yeah, I've read
Yeah,
that. I, I
yeah.
I read books. Yeah.
I think chapter 15, he actually lists out wartime product management is, peacetime product management is. This is peacetime
Wow.
product management, this is wartime product management. A good product manager does this, a bad product manager does that. Yeah, yeah. So hard thing about hard
That's
things. So I would
yeah.
say there's a lot, but I would say hard. If we're talking about just product management wise, hard thing about hard things.
Awesome. And are there any go-to podcasts which you listen to, or would you recommend people to?
Honestly speaking, like most of it, you're gonna just learn on the job. The faster you get the job hunt out of the way, the faster you can just get on. Like
Sure.
like procrastination, analysis paralysis, and perfectionism of just I fall into that trap too. I'm not saying like I'm not guilty of it, but most of these people have way more information than they actually really need, and honestly can really retain. You don't like people are like do coffee chats, and I think coffee chats is like I was like it's the biggest waste of time, not just because like I think it's the biggest waste of like the person that's sitting down with them. Like so many of my friends that work at the big tech companies, they get people that say, "Hey, can we do a coffee chat?" I went to University of Michigan too, and he's like, "I come out for coffee," and they just look at my face. Yo, so like what? You booked this meeting on Friday. It's Thursday afternoon. I mean, please tell me you came
Yeah.
here with questions, you know, because I'm fully financially capable of buying myself a latte. Yeah. So, like, what got you interested in product management? Like, do you honestly care? How does that help you? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't think aggregating any more information is necessary. Just go out there and take action. There's enough podcasts that's on it. I think all the podcasts is great because it's free. I think the whole industry, compared to when Product Gym started in 2017, even amongst my competition, there are it's in the short span of 6 years, there is a plethora of resources that exists right now
That is
compared
true.
to that time. It
Yep.
like for anybody, like, no disrespect to the APM, like the associate product man, I mean aspiring product managers out there. You're talking about pre-COVID. My members talk about that like it's World War II. Like I had to take a round one at the staircase or pretend like I had, a doctor's appointment for an entire day on a Friday to go on site just to get like right now. You have,
Yeah.
as you guys can clearly see from my inflection, you have 3 monitors here: ChatGPT, interview cheat sheet. You guys can scroll toggle as much as you want. You guys can definitely do more volume than interviews. Like in San Francisco and LA, where we still have a lot of members. They physically had to go to that office.
Yep.
So
That's true.
you're like, I remember those days. Yeah. So information's there. Get ready to take action.
That's wonderful, Rich. I'm actually super pumped after this conversation. Not for interviewing, but in general, I'm like super pumped. I love your overall energy, your thought process, like to be persistent. Whatever you want to achieve, it could be interviews, could be jobs, anything. Be like extremely persistent and make it happen.
I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, that was like Newton's, like, I remember one of my bosses used to say this, Newton's third law. He was like, any action has an equal or opposite reaction. And like freaking that Tinder swindler guy loves saying that thing in that Netflix documentary. Reaction has an equal or opposite. I mean, honestly speaking, I'm pretty sure a lot of product managers are sports fans too. There's a reason why Cristiano or like a Messi or like Tom Brady's like at the top level.
Yeah.
Everybody on the team sees what they're doing, and you can make a choice whether or not like you want to do it or not.
That's true.
Yeah. So
this is great, Rich.
thank
Again,
you.
thank you so much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much
me.
for your time and a
Yeah,
wonderful
thanks a lot.
conversation.